All right, welcome back. This is Johnny the Greek's Free Real Estate, episode 19. This week I am joined with at Dynasty Santa of IDPguys.org. He's the content manager, the editor, the writer, the ranker. He's a Philly guy. We love Philly guys here. Dynasty Santa, also known as Steve Thomason. How's it going, man?
Very good, man. It's happy to be on here with you. I've been listening to as many of these as I can, and they've been really fun. So I was really honored when you shot me a DM to come and join you here. So yeah, hanging in there.
Nice, dude. Yeah, it's good to have you, man. And we were talking about this a little bit before we hit record, but we haven't. I mean, we've talked on the interwebs and been in leagues and all that jazz, but
Mhm.
I in general don't talk to new people on staff until a year or two in because most of them don't
Mhm.
make it. And you're in like what year 3 or 4 now, and you're like
Yeah.
yeah, you're like a general now, so it's about time.
Technically, yeah, technically, I think I remember whatever year Jordan Howard signed with the Eagles. My first article when Nate still had the Dynasty Digest like branched off site
Oh yeah,
was
yep.
how Jordan Howard was going to be a running back one. So started off with just a massive failure there, and then went through the whole burnout process for a year and a half or so, but then got reinvigorated. Had some great conversations with Nate about. I saw everything that was going on. Saw and still see so much potential, and it was just like I need to be involved, even if I can't write every week or pump out articles. I want to be involved, and then yeah, kind of just transitioned into this content manager role and got my hand in a lot of pots and sort of doing that
Nice.
jack of all trades type thing.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And we'll definitely get into that. Like that's the only way this stuff is sustainable is like if you
Yeah.
actually enjoy it. But we really need to say this for this episode. This is going to be a free fire episode, so please not safe for work. Get your kids out of the room, put on some headphones. This is a Philly guy and I just had a Red Bull. So we're going to swear, we're going to talk about eating horse shit after Super Bowls and greased poles to prevent riots and stuff.
Oh
It's all
yeah.
coming. So
Hmm.
please keep that in mind. With that being said, what have you been up to this off season, man? Let's start there.
I mean, there is no off season, right? For the
True.
fantasy football content game, for me at least. So yeah, I've just been, you know, hitting the grindstone and trying to keep up with rankings. That's been one of the toughest things to keep up with, and just trying to set things in place for the site to get us in a great position headed into the season here. Personally, just I work. I have a typical 9 to 5, and just we have a shit ton of animals here. I've got 3 dogs and 4 cats. We actually just recently our master bedroom was upstairs here, and they kind of transitioned an attic into like a really nice big master bedroom that was our primary bedroom for my wife and I. And we recently just moved downstairs to a smaller master and gave that entire area to our 4 cats because they were living in the basement. They were living in the basement for a couple of years, and we just felt like, well, we've been using it more and doing the whole in and out thing in the basement, so we didn't want them to get out, and it just felt like really unfair to them. So we built them their own like sanctuary. My wife calls it sanctuary. When I started talking to my friends about it, they anointed it the Pussy Palace. So that's what it is now.
That's awesome, man. The cats have
So
their own room in the house.
the biggest room.
That's incredible. I love
Yeah.
that.
So
We're
they're doing good.
That's beautiful. We're already off to a good start here. I
Spicy episode.
That I love it. I love it. All right, all right. So we'll definitely get into some Eagles here, but let's
Yeah.
rewind a little bit. Talk about the Super Bowl. So, Rams, Bengals, not like hateable teams, really. What'd you think? Did you enjoy the game? Takeaways from that? I mean, this question is months out of date now, but it's still on the list, so we're
Yeah,
leading with it.
it's the most recent. Aside, well, up until yesterday, it was the most recent football
Right.
game that we had,
Right. No,
right?
no, no. Takes on preseason game one. Let's hear that instead.
And I was going to say, and I'm still that Super Bowl just a tad bit more interesting than a bunch of scrubs that were playing yesterday. But yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. Like two very two teams are very easy to root for, right? The Young Bucks in the Bengals, and then Stafford's story, right? So I literally I didn't care who won. I was going to be happy for either one because I'm a big Burrow fan. I think he's just cool and very down to earth guy. And then Stafford, I mean, spending all those years in Detroit, you know, he deserved it. He totally deserved it. So I was actually, if I had to assign a percentage, I was probably like 55-45 Rams to Bengals, like rooting for. But yeah, it was awesome to see Stafford get it. I made a very late stupid bet with a friend on the MVP. I was like, they always give it to the
Ooh.
quarterback. Like, yeah, he threw a couple of picks, but I'm like, he played. I thought his stats were good enough. I was like,
Yeah.
he'll get the MVP because it's a great. That's part of the story to add to it too. And
Yeah.
then very obviously it went to Cooper Cup, so I lost like $10 on that.
Oh, dude, I hear you. All the Bengals needed to do was kick a field goal, and I would have made another 300 on a parlay. But it was nice because it came down to like, okay, so either the Bengals kick this field goal, we go to overtime, I make $300, or
Yeah.
the Rams win the Super Bowl. I was rooting for the Rams anyway, so I was like, yeah, whatever, like it's fine.
The
Yeah.
lines for that game, boy, that was
Oh,
tough. People had some really tough losses there, right? Oh my god, it's only
yeah.
like 2.5 3-point lines on either side, and man, I don't know what like the public percentage was, but I feel like everyone I talked to was like on the wrong side. They all had the Bengals
Yep.
with the points, and it didn't work out, right?
Yeah, yeah, man. Hey, if you're a big gambling guy, we'll definitely talk about that too. I am a fan for sure.
Yeah.
Let's rewind a little further though. How'd you get into football? Was this like a family thing for you, or how'd that start?
A bit of a mix of family and friends, mostly. My parents are both born and raised Michigan, so that's why whenever I talk to like Nate and the Lions fans, I like to drop that. So they were from like literally right outside of Detroit, but then I was technically born there, but we moved to Pennsylvania when I was like 2. So and my dad, like, he was a big sports fan, but he didn't really seem to have a ton of loyalty outside of baseball to the Tigers. Other than that, it was kind of like he just loved the games and stuff. And obviously, he wasn't like a diehard Lions fan because they've been terrible for so long. So, like, I didn't have like direct influence, especially for football. I was kind of free to make my own choices. And then all my friends were into football. I had to deal with some scumbag Cowboys fans. Yeah, Pennsylvania. Okay, aside quick tangents. If you're a Cowboys fan from Pennsylvania, you're just the biggest scumbag, and not the good kind on the planet Earth. We get one of my favorite Portnoy from Barstool. Very likes to refer to Philly fans as scumbags in an endearing way,
Yep.
which I love. But the bad kind of scumbags are Cowboys fans from Pennsylvania, like just the absolute worst people on earth. I married one, by the way.
Oh
So I'm
wow.
saying that tongue in cheek, but no, most people, that root for the Cowboys are just trying to be assholes. My wife, she had a long history of Cowboys fans in her family, so she gets a small pass. But so yeah, my friends are all over the place. My story is, Ace Ventura came out. Dan Marino was like a
Yeah.
side star in that movie. So like, who's this Marino guy? Dolphins. They have cool colors, cool uniforms. So kind of migrated to being a Dolphins fan as a kid, just purely because of Dan Marino. He was like really fucking cool, and he was in Ace Ventura, one of my favorite movies. Like helped shape my humor growing up. So was a Dolphins fan till I really started getting into like the fantasy and stuff like that. And then when he retired, obviously they
Yeah.
were trash
Oh yeah.
and could never replace him. Pretty much still are trash ever
Yeah.
since it's kind of like Curse of the Bambino, Curse of Marino.
Right.
So I kind of was like, and I had always like kept up with the Eagles, knew the history, and almost were like my second team.
Yeah.
So when you grow up and you're living in this area and stuff, it's just kind of easier to fully transition. Now, I didn't fully go, my toe was in the water, but I was like Andy Reid at the time had his really bad season and had always been choking in the playoffs and stuff. So I witnessed that, and I witnessed friends of mine that were diehard fans go through all that pain. I'm like, I'm not diving fully into the deep end until Reid is gone. So a couple years later, Reid's gone, Chip Kelly. I was like totally on board. So and kind of been riding ever since the Chip Kelly era as like a full-fledged, totally dived in fan.
I hear you, man. Andy Reid had some great players on those old Eagles teams, though. Westbrook, dude. Westbrook, like people forget. Like,
Monster.
yeah, that was the original. Fuck CMC. CMC's made of glass. Westbrook could, every game, every season, he's getting you 20, 30, 40 fantasy points. He's doing everything. Like, they had guys like that season with T.O. and McNabb where T.O. went nuts. Like,
the
man,
one season,
yes,
and that was it all up.
Yeah, and then that Super Bowl, T.O. broke his leg, comes back, has like 10 catches, 120 yards or something, and McNabb chokes it. Like, oh man,
we should be 2-0 against the Patriots.
Dude, I know, man, but no, I hear you though, and then you guys got over the hump. You got the Super Bowl. Let's take a side trip. What was that like for you, winning the Super Bowl in Philly?
I watched it with a bunch of friends in Phoenixville, a suburb right outside of Philly, and it was just one of the best nights ever that I can remember. Everyone was so happy, and again, a lot of these people had been diehard since they were small children. So literally, there was one of the guys was there with his dad, and like the dad was like crying, and the guy started crying because his dad was crying. Like it was wild. And just seeing all that emotion just pouring out, I'm sure there's hundreds, thousands of stories just like that of like people with their parents and sharing that moment, like because football means so much to this area that like it was just we went running through the streets, everybody's banging pots and pans, went down to the bar. They opened up just for our crew because we had a couple of people that worked at the one of the breweries down there. The owners came down, opened it up. We were like, people were standing on tables, chugging beers and stuff. Like it was just phenomenal. So I wasn't in like the heart of the city. I was like in the burbs at that time, but like we had very much Philly behavior happening in that night.
Philly behavior.
Yeah.
I love that, man. Yeah, no, that was an excellent Super Bowl, and I've said this on here many times. I don't believe in the hate my division rivals stuff because I don't give a shit. I mean, yeah, I somewhat dislike them, but I dislike the Patriots more. And you guys did the world a favor. So
it was just, I mean, not yet. It was this combination of the years of disappointment, right? And now going up against this dynasty and Brady, who had beaten us a decade and a half earlier, was still around. And it was just this, with that all combined, it was just like this huge wave of relief that just got expunged from the entire area. That was like, finally, holy shit. And then followed by pure bliss out of anyone that was a fan.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's good stuff. What do you think about this year? I mean, you guys made some moves, right? Like AJ Brown, Bradbury. A lot of people slept on that. Like the corners are sick.
That very much went under the radar with the whole draft day shenanigans that went down for sure. Yeah, the D's looking good. We're only really weak at safety, I think. I'm pretty happy with the other position groups for the most part. I mean, the defensive line is unreal. Like if those guys can all stay healthy, and we're just rotating fresh guys, like it's gonna be really tough. And our safeties might not need to play barely if we can rush the passer and stuff the run like I think that line can. It's gonna be a tough year for quarterbacks against us, I think. And then Howie, going all in. I've been very critical of Howie at times. I kind of, even the Super Bowl year, he's a cap wizard. Okay, I'll give him that. Our general manager, Howie Roseman. He's absolutely a cap wizard. He can, do wonders with signing guys and figuring out deals, making the right cuts. But it's the drafting that has been his biggest Achilles heel. passing on Justin Jefferson for Jalen Reagor, which
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of people did that. You know, 4 other teams took receivers also before Justin Jefferson. So
Right.
it's not like, you know, but it just hurts more when it's our team. Taking JJ Arcega-Whiteside ahead of DK Metcalf, like
Yeah.
those kinds of moves, when you start to look back, like imagine if we'd hit on the right players, we wouldn't have to have traded for AJ Brown and
Right.
trading up to draft Devonta Smith. You know what I mean? And a host of other moves. Those are just the big name ones. But so if he can get this drafting thing figured out, I'll be back on board. But I'm still going to be a little skeptical until we make another at least deep run into the playoffs here, which, you know, we're lined up to do if Hurts can actually, you know, take a big step forward, because he needs to this year.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I'm on record. I think Philly wins the division. Cowboys got worse. You
I
guys
see
got
that.
better. And
Yeah.
Giants and Washington blow.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Yo, the NFC beast though, man, it's the most uh, unpredictable division in
Uh-huh.
probably all of sports, and it
Right.
has been for at least a decade. Like you just said, Washington or Giants, they could easily end up going 10-7 and sneaking into the division, because it doesn't make any goddamn sense, and that's why it'll happen.
Yeah, and it's the only division with all Super Bowl winners too. Like the
Yeah, yeah, that's
only
pretty cool,
division.
right?
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's a claim to fame. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. So what do you do for a living when you're not making content and watching games and stuff like that?
I'm a nerdy spreadsheet guy, so I do a lot of inventory planning and analysis, buying. Right now, I work for a company that manufactures batteries for basically reserve power. So we're not like AA, AAA, but like big, like batteries that are in like hospitals, and Verizon's a huge customer who for all their like towers and whatever they use them for. I don't even really know. I've been there about a year and a half. I transitioned from retail buying and planning into manufacturing, and it's a completely different world that I've had quite a bit of a learning curve to pick up. But it's interesting. It's something that every day is a challenge, and every day things are different. So it definitely keeps me on my toes. And I'm like a numbers nerd, which is, I think, why I like fantasy so much, and getting more into the content game and digging into stats and stuff like that. I just love it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I've seen that. We all love our stats. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm positive you got a good answer for this. Being a Philly guy and just knowing your personality, you got a good short story from college, high school, whatever. Something funny, something crazy.
Oh man, I mean, for me personally, I'm a pretty even keeled guy. I know. I mean, my first like big Philly interaction was going to Eagles games and stuff. And most of the time I'm drunk, so I'm sure there's been tons of crazy shit that has happened, and I just don't remember it.
Oh, dude, Philly games are nuts. I was at
Yeah.
the lacrosse finals in Philly a few years ago, and they were selling. This was when To was there, or when To was on Dallas. They were selling
Yeah.
To sucks Dallas Swallows T-shirts in the parking lot of a friggin' lacrosse event in like July.
Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much that goes on. We have a cool wait, so where was the it was at
Oh,
the
at the
football
link.
stadium?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So did you happen to go to like Xfinity Live, the little like complex, like bar complex that's right near the stadium there?
Oh, I'm sure we did. Is B Dubs there, or is that?
Uh that they might be inside of it or something like that. But Xfinity Live is a place where craziness just breathes itself. Like I'll a lot of times what I've been doing lately is we'll go down with friends who have tickets, but we'll just tailgate with them instead of wasting money on tickets to go inside. We'll hop over to Xfinity, which is like right next door. and it's just they have like the mechanical bull. So I've seen plenty of men and women eat shit on this mechanical bull as they're hammered. They used to do large the beer pong with like the trash cans and use a volleyball instead.
What?
I used to play that all the time. So just like crazy stuff down there is fun. I actually enjoy that way more than going into the football game and watching it live. You know, hot take. Watching football on TV is infinitely better than going to a live game, in my
Yep.
opinion.
Yep. Yeah, I used to go to at least one, probably two, three every single season, and I refuse to sacrifice a Sunday in the
Yeah.
command center for that now. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know, you got Red Zone, you got the two
Uh-huh.
other TVs, Fox, CBS, and then you know,
Yeah.
all the info's coming in on everything. I can't miss that for one game. I mean, yeah,
Right.
the atmosphere is great.
Yeah.
You can't replace that, but it's not the same. Yeah.
All the lead up, it's all about, like I said, we'll go down to tailgate and just keep drinking and watch the game in the bar setting. But you know, and the lead up, like the leading up to the beginning of the game, is great. You know, music's playing, Rocky's playing, that's all great. But once that clock starts till you know the last minutes of the fourth quarter, if it's not a close game, it's just like it's brutal to get there. Like there's so much stoppage, it's slow, and it's not enjoyable to me. You're crammed in, people are getting drunk trying to fight each other. I mean, yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen a billion fights. Like
Oh yeah.
it's like it's just not worth it.
It-
And it's
it-
so expensive.
oh, dude, that too. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah. Okay, that qualifies. So you mentioned the pets. Any
Yeah.
kids? You want to shout out or talk about? Me either. I mean,
Yeah, no kids. Yeah, that's something we flip flop. I could talk about. I don't have a problem. I feel like a lot of people will stay guarded about stuff like this. Like
yeah,
we've been married. We just got married in 2020. We talked about it, but like we need to get a bigger house, to be honest, with all the animals here to even
yeah,
consider it. And we just flip flop because like little babies are like cool and cute, and other people's babies are cool because you can give them back and stuff.
right.
But we flip flop all the time. We're totally undecided. I think we'll figure it out. If it happens, it happens. But yeah, we're just people that kind of go with the flow, and we aren't like dead set one way. I know most people are like, oh, I definitely want to have kids, or oh, I definitely don't want to have kids. And we're like totally in the middle there. Like if it happens, we'll be thrilled. If it doesn't, I don't think it'll be a sweat.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
So
hear you,
just
man.
the pets. We
Right.
got. I'll shout out. We got Mishka and Maxim. They're both purebred Belgian Malinois, which are like
Oh, the Navy SEAL
they're
dogs. Yeah.
exactly like the
Yep.
army dogs. They often get police dogs.
Right.
Everyone thinks they're German shepherds, and they're very similar looking, but they're slightly different. And then we got a new pup, Igor, from a rescue that we were working with. We don't know what the hell he is. The mom came up from Texas and was pregnant when she was at the rescue, and then gave birth to a litter, six fat little baby boys. She was like a little beagle Australian Shepherd mix, maybe like 40 pounds max. So my wife helped like with the puppies and stuff, and she had to take home one at the end of it that she fell in love with. So yeah, he's a big dummy. And the other two Belgian Malinois are like the smartest dogs ever, and
Yeah.
they have to deal with this dumb little pup, and it's a very interesting dynamic. And then all of our cats are basically rescued. We got Rosie, Missy, Marilyn, and the one boy is Teddy, Theodore Ferguson. So
Oh,
I'll shout out the pets.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, it's a good spread right there. Very nice.
Yeah.
Good shit, man. So when was the transition into fantasy and then into IDP? How did all that happen for you?
Yeah, fantasy was so my best friend was about 4 years older than me. We grew up in the neighborhood together, and he got me into it when I was in like middle school. I think it was like literally in like eighth grade or something. He's like, "You want to try this? It's only like $20 for the league." I was like, sure, cool. So a lot of my stuff actually also stems from card collecting. My dad is a huge card collector, so I got into that and was card collecting since like a little kid, which helped with my love of sports. So like I already knew like a lot of the players and stuff. It's like, oh, once he explained the concept to me, I'm like, that sounds really fucking awesome. So I'm in. I went to this draft, had no idea what I was doing. So my claim to fame is that I was doing stacking before stacking was cool. So in
Ooh,
like
okay.
1999, eighth grade, my first three picks were Steve Young, Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, all
Oh,
on the 49ers,
shit.
which
Yeah.
newsflash did not work out well.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Steve Young got injured that year. So, but I remember my other quarterback, he'll always have a special place in my heart, was Steve Berline on the Panthers when he had like 4,000 yards, almost 30 touchdowns, like which was a lot back then in
Yeah.
1999. That was like a QB1 season easily. So he's a guy who always had ended up with a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
So not long after that, wanted to start my own league. I started a keeper league that's been running ever since 2001. I was a sophomore in high school when I started it. I found, that was infancy of the internet, right?
Right.
I searched around. I found this like kind of cool like computer program that I downloaded, but I had to manually do everything. I'm talking typing in player names,
Ooh.
teams, positions, and then filling out, creating the 12 teams, creating the schedule, filling in the stats each week, and it would print out basically a summary packet. So I would print out one on my home computer, and then the job I worked at the time was a retail store. Ended up being a manager. It was a health food store, and on Tuesdays I always put in like I want to work Tuesday nights and close because I would make 11 other copies of this 20-page document on the copier for free and just reset. So I stole $10 worth of copies every Tuesday night for quite a few years. And then most of the other people in the league were all way older and they all bowled on Tuesday night. So when I was done, I would drive down to the bowling alley, hand out everyone's package with the results and scores and standings and all that crap. And I loved it. I fell in
Yeah.
love commissioning the league. That's where I really fell in love with fantasy, was commissioning my own league and doing all that tedious, basically data entry work into this stupid little computer program that I found. And then I would always do like critique the drafts and critique the league. That's what got me into the writing phase years down the road. We found CBS Sports
Yep.
Line. I think it was Sports Line. A few years later, maybe like 0405, transitioned it to all online and then ran it through there, and then just recently transitioned it to Sleeper a couple of years ago. So that's like my fantasy journey in general. The IDP portion, I think I got into that. It was somebody did a salary cap league, and it
Yeah.
was full true positions, offense, defense. I was like, that's pretty cool. That feels like the
Yeah.
next step in my progress here. So I did that and instantly fell in love with the IDP side of the ball.
Yeah, I miss true salary cap. Yeah, Yahoo used to
Yeah.
have those. Remember that? Like, and the salaries would change every. I don't know if you're a Yahoo guy, but the salaries would change every week depending on performances. Um,
Oh, interesting.
and it was like everyone had $100 to start with. You had to fill your team. It was like a standard lineup, and it was like DFS except it was season long, and it
Very
was
cool.
yeah. Oh man, I miss that.
I
That was
never got to play one of those. Yeah, I feel like. Do you remember the site called Sandbox even before Yahoo? Did you ever play on that?
Sandbox. No, I was
Yeah,
03, so it might have been before me. Yeah.
I remember that was even before CBS. Actually, that was a site that I found and was playing on there. And like I remember going on in like my high school library, like checking lineups and stuff like that. So I feel like I was always kind of like in between Yahoo and. I've been in Yahoo's, but not since like the early days. The early days for me were Sandbox and then CBS, and that was pretty much it. This salary cap league that got me into IDP was through ESPN, but then they just used like an external spreadsheet where he kind of like set all the salaries and then they were locked for the year. So I never got to do
Oh,
anything like
wow.
that. That sounds pretty cool. I would have definitely liked that. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's some degenerate shit you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. Like, you're in the right spot with all that. That's beautiful. Beyond fantasy football, what else do you do for fun? What else are you into?
Um, Drinking beer. we have we have a lot of awesome craft breweries in the area. So that's definitely I guess a hobby at this point. Um, I enjoy watching a lot of the other sports. We've been trying to donate our time to helping rescues lately. So we help out with some dog rescues and stuff like that. Um, yeah, and just taking it easy and enjoying life.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's the point, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Who are some of your favorite early IDPs from maybe that spreadsheet league or your first
Yeah.
couple of years?
So this is one that I actually have a fun answer for that I was excited about talking about because I haven't heard anybody yet that I'm up to mention this guy's name. So that very first year, so I'm pretty sure it was 2016. I actually went back and looked. It was 2016. Um, so when I found out there was going to be an IDP league, I started searching the internet, looking for articles and stuff like that. And I actually refound it. It was Mike Wohlert from 4 for 4 had some like breakout linebackers in the very first name, and I got him on my roster because he was only a dollar on the guy's spreadsheet, which was the cheapest price, which was usually guys that like you know either weren't on the list altogether or guys projected not to play, stuff like that. So Waller's first name on that list was Zachary Orr, Baltimore Ravens linebacker,
Yeah, I remember
a
him. Yeah.
1 year wonder guy.
Right.
He
Right.
so I looked up, I checked into this because it was I remember the name because he helped me win the league. I actually won it that year too. Um, the salary cap league. My first year doing salary cap and first year doing
Nice.
IDP. So
Ooh.
that also helped hook me by
Oh yeah.
winning too.
Yeah.
But Orr had like 131 combined tackles, like 98 solos, a handful of pass breakups. No real, I don't think he had any sacks, but early IDP, it was a very sack or a very tackle heavy
Yeah.
scoring.
Right.
So you wanted those tackle monsters, and this guy was it. He was amazing. So the combination of a breakout year like that and his salary was a dollar was just like the perfect combination at that point, perfect storm. And yeah, so he has much like Steve Berline from my offensive side. Zach Orr is a special place in my heart on the defensive side, and then he just like randomly retired. I think like the very next year, if I'm not mistaken. I researched his stats. Yeah,
Wow.
2016. He was in the league 2014, 2015, like barely played. And that's why Wollert's like first paragraph on, he's like, I'm not sure who's going to play next to CJ Mosley, but I think it's this guy, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, all right, I'll take him. And he has this monster breakout year, and then he like retired for some reason. I
Wow.
can't remember what the reason was, but poof, gone just like that. So I thought that was a fun name to drop out there.
Yeah.
Very random name.
Oh, dude, that's great. And there's so many guys like that
Oh
sprinkled
yeah.
throughout. Pat Angerer replaced the Colts middle linebacker 1 year after like a preseason ACL for whoever the guy was. I can't even remember. It was same deal.
Yeah.
Like no one heard of him. He
Right.
had like 120, 130 tackles. Love that stuff.
It's
That
so cool. And that's part of the reason I love IDP too, because like you'll get those guys that literally. I mean, it happens on offense too, right? Like
Yeah.
guys come out of nowhere, but I feel like it happens more frequently and impactfully on the IDP side because
Yep.
he played all year and just gave you monster games every single game. Like it's awesome. I love guys like that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, man. That's good shit. And so when did this turn into like writing, ranking, and making the move to do that?
Yeah, the content game. So, like I was saying, when I started my own league, I would always do like basically like draft grades of the league, and it was always like shitting on all 11 other teams, and I'm the best. I had the best draft. You all suck balls. Um, and people loved it, and I thought I'm like a decent enough like writer, especially in that format, like trying to incorporate fun. Like I'm not going to sit down and be a stiff, like these are the facts, and blah, 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 blah. Like that's not me. I inject, personality into the writing. So I was like, and then it was honestly Twitter, getting on the Twitter and discovering the community, really, helped me find, and I was searching around, obviously always digging for more IDP people because it is and was still kind of niche. Pretty sure I just stumbled across IDP guys, a post saying like, if you're interested in writing, no experience needed. I was like, I love doing draft grades. Maybe I can start writing about players and stuff. So reached out, came on board. And I told you before the recording, my first article for Nate was how Jordan Howard was going to be a running back one in Philadelphia when he signed in. Like it must, whatever year that was. I think might have been 2019 probably. So that was my very first article. Didn't pan out, obviously. So, and I think honestly that got me probably a little discouraged when you're miss on stuff like that. And I wrote a bunch of other stuff. I don't remember, but got a little discouraged, got a little burnt out. So it was kind of unfortunately ghosted for a couple of years. But then, Nate came back and was like, listen, are you on board or not? And I was like, man, there's so much potential here. Like I want to do something, even if I can't commit to like consistently writing, and I'm probably giving way more time doing the content managing and ranking and all that stuff than I would if I just stuck around as a writer. But it's like, it's different because like, I know writing is hard. I mean, about this, even about fantasy football, even if you love it, like coming up with topics and doing the research to try to put out something good that you're proud of is hard, and to do it consistently is really hard. So that's what I was like, I want to be involved, maybe do some other stuff, and I still contribute articles here and there when I can. But yeah, I just was like, I want to be involved here. I like what's going on. I like what I see, and I want to help grow something. My job for 18 years prior, up until just a few years ago, I worked for one company, a mom and pop health food store that kind of the boom of the internet age took all their products, put them online as like a shop, an online shop, and that thing took off. Ended up being acquired by GNC at one point, sold a couple other times. Like it was so cool to be part of something like that, going from literally a local place that made $3,000 a day if we were lucky to our like top end revenue at one point was $100 million. So like to be involved in something like that was so awesome. And now I want to take that and apply it to something that I'm really passionate about, which is fantasy football. Being in at a ground floor or something is just like really important to me. So I'm excited to just be involved in this and keep it growing.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's good shit. Yeah, no argument with anything you said there. You got to find something that's sustainable for you and is going to keep you happy. And it's like, because we're never going to be able to please everyone else, so we just got to find a way to do it for ourselves. That is beautiful. How about some sleepers? Could be offense, could be defense. Who are some guys you're grabbing late so far this year?
Okay, let me think about some of my. Okay, on offense, I think Romeo Dubes. He's getting a ton of camp hype already, so he might not be a sleeper for very long. But the Packers wide receiver rookie, my hot take there, maybe it's not a hot take, but I think he's not only a better football player than Christian Watson, but I think he'll have a better fantasy season / career than Christian Watson, their second round pick. I think Dubes is a fourth or fifth rounder. So I'm excited to have him on as many rosters as I can get. I didn't get a ton of him in Dynasty yet. Like most of our rookie drafts for Dynasty, right, are pretty much over with. I got a couple of shares, but not nearly as many as I wanted because I play with a lot of sharp people who were also on him a lot. So I'm also in love with Zamir White. I did get a bunch of him before his little mini breakout yesterday. Now he was the hot topic. So
it was all over Sirius radio today, but both NFL and fantasy, both channels. Zamir White. Yeah.
I did get plenty of him, luckily, in a lot of my drafts. So I'm happy about that. I mean, the writing was on the wall, right? They didn't take Jacobs' 5th-year option. So at the very least, he's penciled in for next year to most likely be the clear starter. And it sounds like he's going to get work this year potentially. We know Josh McDaniels comes from running back by committee in New England, so it could be a giant headache, just like New England has been for many, many years. But I think he'll, if injuries help shake things out, maybe he, down the stretch is a potential league winner type guy. I'll try to give you some IDPs here too. Well, I've loved Josh Sweat, hometown pick.
Yep.
I've been on him for a couple of years. Yeah, you like him too?
Oh yeah, dude. You can get him crazy late, and he's
free.
He's solid.
He's basically still free somehow.
Yep.
He had like 6.5, 7 sacks last year. Had some injury issues. I think he's primed for another. I consider last year kind of the breakout, but he still does seem to be on people's radars. So maybe this year will be the second coming of the breakout. So I love picking up him for free in leagues where you're starting at least a couple of defensive linemen. Trying to think. I know I've got some linebackers that I like. I'm a big. I like Chenal in Kansas City. I know everyone harps on the fact that Spagnuolo, hates IDP and rotates linebackers like crazy. But I don't know. I think he pairs really nicely with Bolton, and I think part of the reason they've done that in Kansas City prior is because they didn't have anybody good. So Anthony Hitchens stinks. All the other people, he was their best linebacker for 3 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So of course you're going to rotate a ton of shitty players, because they're all bad. But now Bolton's there and he's good, and Chenal I think is really good. So I think we might actually end up seeing some more consistency from that linebacking courts than we've seen in the past. So he's kind of a sleeper for me this year.
Nice. Yeah. No, those are some good ones right there. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm cautious. I don't, you see, with linebackers, I don't really give a shit. Like if I'm wrong, like whatever, I'll wait a week and there'll be some guys.
Someone else. Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Right. Yeah. They're always available. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Who's on your Mount Rushmore? You get 4 guys for IDP all time. It could be however you want to, make it.
I mean, it's got to be Big Zach Orr. Like I said earlier, I mean, he's got a special place in my heart, man. He won me my league, first ever IDP. Like for me personally, he's George Washington to me. I'll always be indebted to that guy. Trying to think, who else? I mean, from a homer pick, the Axeman, Jeremiah Trotter. He was pretty damn consistent for many, many years for the Eagles. I wasn't playing IDP back then, but I assume the stats translated.
Oh yeah, they did
easily enough. So, who? I'm trying to go.
Who had that sack on Brady with the fumble in the Super Bowl? Was that Curry? Brandon Graham?
Brandon Graham, I think, had the strip sack, and I think Derek Barnett picked it up, who I wish we would have gotten rid of him this year. I don't know that I could put Brandon Graham for IDP on Mount Rushmore.
I'm just thinking for personal reasons, but
I know. I took my homer picks. I want to go with people. I'm trying to think. A weird one, but I think he's a superstar in the making, and I really hope he's been. So Tom K obviously puts out awesome information, and I'm pretty sure he's a big fan of this guy, Max Crosby. His pressure rates have been insane, and they're just not converting to sacks yet.
Right.
And what I like about him, I've listened to a podcast where I've learned his story. He went through some struggles with substance abuse, and that I think that led to one of his down years a couple of years ago. But now he's clean and sober, so I'm really just like rooting for him. He's like a 4th round pick. He was the same year as Cleveland Farrell, who went like 4th overall.
Yeah,
and is just god awful, and he's now the superstar. So I'm really just rooting for him. I love guys like that. So I'll put him up there for defensive line, kind of just because I like the story. And I think he's a superstar in the making, and I think his real breakout is coming as well. And I need one more. Let me get somebody from a secondary. I got to go back to homerism and pick B-Doc.
Oh,
B-Doc is a monster.
yep.
He was a tackling machine, a ball hawk. Like, yeah, he's right up there. The bigger names, right, are like the Palomalus of the world, the Ed Reeds of the world. But
Right.
B-Doc deserves to be in that conversation. So I'm going to put him as my fourth there.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was incredible for a long time too. Yeah,
Weapon X, baby, the hard hitter.
yeah. That's a great pick. I like that. That's a different Mount Rushmore, and I like it because I've gotten the same answers for.
I know. I was gonna say, like, I can't give you Luke Kuechly, man. Screw that guy.
Yeah, no, works for me. Works for me. All right, let's get you on record for your predictions this year. Let's start with the ones. So inside linebacker, end of the year, who's the best IDP inside linebacker end of this year?
Damn, who's gonna basically have the most tackles? Well,
Pretty much, yep.
yeah. I mean, so what? It was Roquan last year, right?
Oh, it was Foye. Roquan was up there. He was
Oh,
up
that's
there.
right.
Yeah, it was Foye. Yeah.
Yeah,
As
definitely ain't
weird
gonna
as
be
that
him this
is.
year.
Yeah,
I
no,
know.
not in Jacksonville. No.
Yeah, I think a lot of us sharps are fading him. I think honestly, if Levante David can stay healthy all year, he's got a shot at it. He's just a super consistent guy. I think if he can, if some fumble recoveries, some interceptions, maybe a couple sacks go his way, I think he's got a shot at it if he stays healthy. He's just a guy that kind of gets forgotten about. I think he dealt with some injuries last year, the year before, and kind of fell down people's radar. He's getting a little older, but he's only like 31, 32. I mean, we just saw Demario Davis be like a almost top 12, top 15 guy at 34 years old. So, dark horse guys, I think it could be Levante David. Roquan, I feel like
That's the
his
safe answer.
situation, he's
Yeah.
unhappy. I'm saying to maybe fade him almost because.
Well, if he plays every game, it's probably
Yeah.
Roquan. But yeah, he's upset. He's on the PUP. He's holding in. So we'll see.
Yeah. Trying to come with some like out of the box guys,
Yeah. No, that's a great answer. David plays every snap.
Yeah.
He's solid. He's actually a good player, which that
Right.
helps.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a guy. If he's healthy, he doesn't come off the field really.
Right.
So he's got a shot at it, I think.
Yeah, I like that answer. How about outside linebacker? So like the TJ Watts
The
of the
pass
world.
rusher.
Yeah.
I'm big. Well, it's hard to go against TJ Watt. He's amazing. And he's, it would be stupid to not technically say he's the one, but a dark horse guy that I like who I think might, have a shot at the throne. I think Harold Landry in Tennessee is a really nice player who's, he's just been steadily each year getting better and better and better and better. So, and they got, Jalen Brown's gone, but he wasn't really a pass rusher. I think Bud Dupree is gone.
Yeah, he
or
retired. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So,
Yeah.
okay. And there's somebody else I thought, like, basically, I think he's got the position all to himself there this year. So,
right.
I think if he could convert, he's a dark horse guy. He's got a shot at it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. He had a great season last year too,
Mm-hmm.
and I might be wrong about Bud Dupree retiring. I remember someone retired.
Somebody. Tennessee's gone through a bunch of personnel changes, but they gave him a huge contract, so they believe in him. And that's the other reason they said that we believe in you. So I think he's going to get every opportunity to challenge. Watt. And he's a bit of a ball hog. He's not just a sack guy. He gets some tackles in there. He gets some fumble recoveries every now and then. So he's not just a sack guy like a Marcus Golden or someone like that, who's literally just, if he doesn't give you an 11 and a half sack season, he's going to be very disappointing.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like that. That's a good pick. How about defensive end? So like the Garretts, the Bosas, all
Yeah.
those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna if either of them stay healthy all year, it's got to be Garrett or Bosa that are number one. But who I'm rooting for and who I'm grabbing everywhere that I think uh, could have a shot at it is Marcus Davenport in New
Ooh,
Orleans.
yeah,
Opposite obviously Cam Jordan's another guy who you could bet on for that too. Davenport's just been snake bitten with health, man. But finally last year he played more games than he's ever played. He still
right.
missed some to injury like he always has, but not season-ending injuries. And man, he's just every time he played a game, he at least had like a sack and a half almost every game that he was healthy and played in. So if he could get out there for 15 or 16, man, I think we could see a 12, 13, 14, 15 sack season out of that guy. So I like him a lot this year.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's a good you could qualify, I guess, as a sleeper, but most of us
Yeah.
are on him, but some people aren't. Yeah. How about defensive tackles? It's still Donald for you, or you got an up and comer?
But yeah, while he's playing, it's got to still be Donald, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of uh, well, I know the guy that we just drafted is not much of a sack guy. I mean, Akeem Hicks signed in Tampa Bay. He could put up a nice year.
Yeah, he's always had good seasons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, and he's playing with probably the best surrounding talent that he's ever played with. He was always the guy in Chicago, so he could always be double teamed, and he still put up decent numbers. Now, there's a lot more to worry about there in Tampa Bay. I think if he's 1-on-1 all the time, we could see double digit 10 sack season out of him. So he might be able to challenge Darnold there. I'll say Hicks there.
Nice. Hey, that's a new answer. I will take it. How about safety?
Yes. Oh man, there's so many safeties I like.
Oh
Like
yeah.
safeties are like wide receivers. Like I purposely fade the top end guys. Derwin is the number one. I don't think you can go against him. I'm a big chin guy, so they're my top guys who I would bet on. But there's so many deep guys I love too.
Yeah. Right.
I'm trying to think. And Buda Baker is always at the top there. But I really like Jordan Whitehead on the Jets this year.
Yeah, that was
I
one
think
of Macri's sleepers. That's a great
nice.
point.
That makes you feel good.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. Like he's gonna
Yeah,
play every snap.
yeah. They're
The Jets are not great. They'll
yeah,
probably
exactly.
pay a fair amount of defense.
Hmm.
He was always solid in Tampa Bay too, with a ton of competition for tackles. A
Yeah,
ton.
yeah,
No
exactly.
longer.
Yeah, he's gonna eat there big time. Um, I also like McKinney on the Giants.
Yeah.
He had a breakout last year, and if he could keep that going, he could easily challenge for that number one spot.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yep, up and comer. Alabama, man, they just put dudes out into the league. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
How about corner?
Oh man, I think Stingley is gonna come into the league guns a blazing. We know that Diggs, it's going to be impossible for him to replicate that.
Oh,
And
yep.
I think Stingley is a big play guy who, again, a lot of our strategies are to punt on the top guys and soak up depth later, and he's going to be a big target of mine. I'm trying to think. Kenny Moore is a classic.
Yep.
He just has a billion tackles, so that anything on top of that is just sweetness.
Right.
So it's hard not to stick with him as a top guy. But I really am putting a lot of my chips in on Stingley too, if I
I
can.
I love that answer because they put out dog shit last year, and those guys had tons of
Yeah,
production. Tavier
yeah.
Thomas, Terrence Mitchell, dudes like
Desmond
that.
King.
Yeah,
He
Desmond
had
King,
yeah.
like just horseshit.
Uh-huh.
And those guys basically the semifinal week against the Chargers put a bunch of people into the finals by themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, it's wild. So, and not much else has changed, and he's obviously way more talented than all of those guys. So, everything comes down to health. If he's ready for the year and he can stay, play the whole year, I think he's got a shot. Um, a lot of people like Gardner, but for me, Gardner's more of a shutdown coverage guy, and we know traditionally IDP scoring that he's not going to give you much from that standpoint. But
Right. If they're not
it's
getting targeted, how are they going to put up points? Yeah.
exactly. Or even if they are, yeah, maybe he's getting pass breakouts, but if he's just not allowing the pass to be completed in some way that's not going to show up on the box score, then you're not getting credit for that, unfortunately.
Yeah. I hear you, man. It's a tricky position to figure out. That is
For sure.
for IDP anyway. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Who's going to the Super Bowl? Who's winning?
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to think about who I wanted to give for this. I want the Bills to get there so badly.
Same.
If we could have a Bills Birds matchup, that would be just so much fun. I know the Eagles probably aren't going to make it, so I'm going to say Bills from the AFC. Realistically, from the NFC, I mean, it's going to be hard for the Rams not to be competitive again. Tampa Bay again. I mean, if I have to pick one, I'm going to send the Rams back, but losing to the Bills.
Ooh, okay. That would be a great. I mean, we're getting that week 1. That's going to be an excellent matchup. That's the first. That's the first Thursday night game this year.
Awesome! I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. And that would be such a great Super Bowl. Like that would be incredible. And just for the record, I meant Hargreaves, not Mitchell. I'm not in football mode yet. But yeah, no, that's a great answer. And I hope you're right, because I know like Tampa Bay wants to circle around Brady. It's probably his last hurrah. Let's get him one more. He doesn't need one more. He's got 7 or 6 or whatever it is.
Go away.
Yes, go away and stay there.
This is that stuff like that is how I had so much disdain for guys like Favre, because especially being a Marino guy, right? He set all the records initially, but then guys like Favre come around and hang around and they suck and they're clearly past their prime, but they're hopping around teams. They're staying 3 or 4 years past what they should be. Marino hung it up when it was time to hang it up, and then they break all his records because they're just playing extra years. The medical has advanced and training has advanced, so they're able to do that. Like, go away.
Yep. Yeah, it's not like the old days, like Elway, Marino, Steve Young, Montana. All those guys hung it up when it was time. Yeah.
Appropriately, yeah.
I hear you, man. All right, we got you on record there. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some of your favorite movies and TV shows.
Oh yes, I could. How much time you got?
Yeah.
I have a lot of movie takes, but this is probably one you've never heard either. So my number one overall movie, personally, and I make the argument that it could be one of the greatest movies ever if you really sit down and watch it and take in some of the messages. And this is going to shock you, but it's White Men Can't Jump. Woody Harrelson, Wesley Snipes. You've got racial relations. You've got Woody Harrelson dating the Latina Rosie Perez. It's got comedy. It's got sad moments. It's fun. Like, it's got literally everything. If you sit down and really watch and pay attention to this movie, there's lessons to be learned. The gambling, the high, low, like, he wins and he loses it all the money immediately, relationship issues. It's got everything like about life that I like, that you can like just soak in a movie. So it's not just not only is it a phenomenal sports movie, but I think it's a phenomenal regular movie that has lots of depth to it.
Yeah, that's a great movie. I've never thought about it like in that way, but you got a good point. That's a solid flick. How about a few others? If you had to round out like a top 5?
For movies, so I'm a huge Kevin Smith guy, so there's probably a couple. Mallrats, Dogma are going to be on there for me. I just absolutely love those. Good Will Hunting is a favorite of mine. I love the Boston Boys. Anchorman, for a while there, me and a buddy could literally sit through the movie with it on mute and we could give you every single line through that
Oh my
entire movie between the
God.
two of us. So I think that would round out my top five there.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, and honestly, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, the original, is wildly underrated of the Kevin Smith. Like it's yes, it's very stupid, but it's just so good too.
Yeah, no, that's great. He's an inspirational dude too. The way he had
Yeah.
that heart attack and just turned his
Hmm.
life around like on a dime. Like
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
good shit.
I
That's
need to
awesome.
learn from him and take some of those similar steps before I find myself in a similar position.
And there's a story that Jay, what the hell's his last name?
Jason Mewes.
Muse, yeah,
Yeah.
told a story about he had to do some photo shoot with his dong out, and he wanted to make it look bigger. So he you know,
Oh God, what did he do?
basically beat meat and then let it come down. On the come down is when he did the photo shoot.
Okay.
So that it was still like half cocked basically. And
Right, right.
this was about one of their podcasts, and I just thought that was the funniest fucking thing ever. I was like, wow, that's actually not a bad idea. Like if you got to do a
Work
photo shoot like
smarter.
that, yeah, yeah, they're funny guys, man. They
He's a wild dude, and he's had struggles, I think,
yeah,
with
heroin, yeah,
yeah, big
yeah,
time substance abuse. So
yep,
it's really
yeah,
cool to you don't see that, especially in Hollywood, right? Like relationships like that where Kevin Smith just never gave up on the guy and
right.
just always had a helping hand and kept putting him in movies. And he it seems like he's kind of like I feel like he's at a very Steve-O like arc where
Yeah,
he's like got his shit together and he's like doing really well. And so that's just really cool to see that kind of stuff.
yeah, definitely. Salad dudes
Um,
right there. What are you watching for TV
I
right now? And some of your all-time TVs too.
I this is always so hard for me. I mean, I have to go almost like when we talk about sports figures. I have to go by like eras, right? 90s kid stuff for me. Simpsons. I used to watch Married with Children with my dad, and he would call me out when I would laugh at like some of the sexual innuendo jokes. If I laugh, he's like, "Why are you laughing at that? Why do you think that's funny?" Like, I don't know. So lots of memories with that. Fox had just killer shows in the
They
90s, right?
did. They did. Yep.
I my I can thank my dad for giving me my trash show love. We used to watch Melrose Place together.
Ooh, jeez. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So that I love like trash reality. The Challenge, MTV's The Challenge is one of my favorites. Um, so I really used to love the show on HBO that only got 2 seasons called How to Make It in America. I try to recommend it to anyone I talk to about TV. It was this awesome show about two guys living in New York trying to make a clothing company like jeans, denim, and stuff, and just all the adventures that they went through. And had Kid Cudi in it as like a supporting role.
Oh,
It's just
wow.
I don't know, something about it just like resonated with me, like the hustle, the grind, and just two friends like trying to make it together. Like it's a really really cool show, and I wish it got more seasons than it did. So that's on my as far as rewatching, obviously binge watching The Office and New Girl are my two favorite. Put it on when I'm falling asleep, and just those shows are so great to just binge watch.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, you
I
got a
could go
good.
on forever about TV, honestly. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, you got a good cross section. That's what's important. How about are you a big like I love my job guy, or if you won the lotto, are you out tomorrow? What are you doing if you hit the big
100.
one?
Yeah, 100% out tomorrow, and I start a wrestling company, wrestling promotion. So yeah, I'm a huge wrestling guy. Well, at least back in the day, I'm in my age. I'm 37. I obviously grew up during the Attitude Era, and it
Oh
was the
yeah.
best. It was the best thing ever. It was the best, you know, era of television ever. I don't care. Not just because I was like formative years during there, but you go back and watch that stuff, it's just amazing. So that's my dream job. If I hit the lotto tomorrow, it's see a job, and I'm opening up my own wrestling company to try to compete with the big boys there. Because I would just, obviously, like every kid wanted to be a wrestler, but I knew my limitations. Like I still would love to be like a manager or a promoter, and like try to find wrestling talent and give them a push and do writing, like writing storylines and
Oh
stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's the dream job for me, 100%.
yeah. No, that's awesome, man. That's you got it all planned out. That's
Oh
beautiful.
yeah, oh yeah. Thought about it a lot.
Nice. If you could time travel, where are you going and what are you seeing?
Wow, that's a great question. I think um, the golden era, right? Like 50s, 60s would be a really cool time. Like I just, imagine going back and watching like going to Yankee Stadium in like the
Oh my
50s. Like,
God.
how fucking cool would that be? Like, football is just starting to become
Yeah.
popular.
The
The
atmosphere.
music,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just, it would be so cool to go back to that era, just to observe and take in some of those historic, especially sports moments and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think I would just go back to maybe the beginning and just live forward from there. 50s, 60s, 70s,
Yeah.
die in the 80s, and that'd be cool.
Dude, I hear you, man. Pace of life was different too. We're not,
Uh-huh.
we're running around like fucking chickens with our heads cut off now. It's
Mm-hmm.
like they could stop and smell the roses back then. It wasn't, I need
Mm-hmm.
this spreadsheet done in 3 hours or we're
Uh-huh.
fucked. Like, yeah, different
Answering
time.
to social media, clicking like. Imagine trying to explain that to someone our age
Right.
who
Oh, forget
who was
it.
our age in the 50s or 60s. Like, yeah,
Yep.
all your friends like post stuff and you have to like it and share it, and it's like to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I would rather literally die. Like, nobody would want to hear about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. The future has been weird, that's for sure. Are you a aliens guy or a no aliens guy?
Big time aliens guy. I think it's fairly obvious. Literally, the government has put out reports that yes, there are UFOs. What I've been hearing lately, I listen to a ton of podcasts that always talk about this stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't think it might not necessarily be like weird little green creatures from another planet who are like checking us out. What I've heard recently, I think is really cool, and I'll try to explain it from my dumb brain how I understand it, and I'll probably butcher it to hell. But it's more of like time traveling than like a different species. So like how
yeah,
time is like everything in the past, everything in the present, and everything in the future are all sort of simultaneously happening right now on different like planes of existence. So what I think those are probably humans potentially from the future that are coming back to check out on the past, like we just talked about going back to the 50s. And so like
yeah.
that's more or less what I think it is. So maybe not aliens, but God, you see these, have you seen some of these pictures that just came out
Oh,
from that
from
new
James Webb?
telescope?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
like, the size is it we can't comprehend how big the
yeah.
universe is. We can't.
So
It's too
so
big.
I really think, if you're exposed to information like that, like to people that maybe haven't seen it and don't care about that kind of stuff, I totally understand having the opinion that like, yeah, there's not aliens. But like for someone like me being presented with that sort of information, I feel like it's almost stupid to think that we're that special, that we're the only intelligent life that exists in this, I can't even come up with the adjective, vast,
Yeah.
universes. There's multiple universes. Like, so yeah, there's definitely some other people or species in the universe somewhere. Yes.
Yep. I'm with you, man. No argument here.
I love
Okay.
talking about that stuff.
Oh, dude, me too. It's and my favorite thing about I mean, Corona sucked. But
Yeah,
the way the government snuck in the UFO stuff where it was just
yeah,
like, "Oh, by the way, some Navy fighter pilots were chased around by a UFO. It's on gun camera. They got the radar from the Aegis system, and we tracked it. And that they gave interviews to 60 Minutes, but don't worry
uh-huh.
about that. Like, it's
But
fine."
Nobody cared.
No
Nobody
one,
cared.
no one cared
Like
because we
what?
all know that we're not alone. Like everyone with yeah.
It's wild.
Apology. Yeah, I don't want to offend anyone, but anyone with half a fucking brain knows that we're
Yeah,
not alone out there. Like
yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
a surprise. We were like, yeah, duh, yeah,
I,
okay,
I think if if we had do you remember the movie Mars Attacks?
yeah,
Have you ever seen that? Yeah,
oh
I feel
yeah,
like for some people a situation like that needs to happen. Like there needs to be a gigantic ship or some Independence Day ship trying to take over the world for people to be like, oh yeah, maybe there is other species and intelligent life out there. Like there's literally proof and nobody cares.
I know, man, it's
It's
insane.
wild.
Yeah, unless Russia or China came up with something that can drop from 70,000 feet to sea level in a second, in 1 second. Um, yeah,
It's
insane.
wild.
Yep. All right, this is a good one. I know you got a good answer for this. Favorite football memory? It could be in person, it could be on TV, just period. Favorite football memory, period.
Yeah, I think even though it should be the Super Bowl, it was. I'm gonna say it was an Eagles loss. It was one of the first football games I went to with some of my friends, and it was the I can't remember the year. I think it was 01 when we lost to the Panthers at home. That
Mm,
was so devastating loss, but man, was that fucking fun to be at just with my boys and like the experience, the atmosphere around the
yeah,
game and stuff. Like it ended in heartbreak, but you know what? Sometimes those are the best memories because when you then get to the promised land, it feels so
right.
much better because you've been through that.
Yep.
I equate that to another great movie, Two for the Money with Al Pacino and Matthew McConaughey. Have you ever seen that one? It's like a game. Al Pacino runs like a touting service, gambling service, and Matthew McConaughey is like a guy doing like 1-900 picks, and
Yeah, in
Pacino basically
Vegas.
like recruits him to New York to come be on his show and stuff. And
Right.
they go to a gambling anonymous meeting, and Pacino says, guys like us, and this is why it resonates with me so much because I feel like it is me. Guys like us, we don't winning doesn't do it for us. We don't feel more alive until they're raking the chips away, and we've got a nickel in our pocket. That's how I kind of felt like being an Eagles fan that day. Sometimes the losses are more exhilarating than the wins. So that Panthers, we were again as many of the Andy Reid teams, we were the favorites in the game. We should have been going to the Super Bowl, and we lose to freaking like Jake Delhomme and
Ugh.
Deshaun Foster run somebody over to a game-winning touchdown. Like it was brutal, but it was still like a really fun memory. Like the weather was shitty, and it was just an awesome time.
Dude, 100% I can identify with that because it's like there's a direct correlation between experiencing joy and how much suffering you went through before you got it.
Uh-huh.
Right? Like
Uh-huh.
if you always have water and you're thirsty and you get some water, it's nothing. But if you don't
Mm.
drink water for 3 days and someone gives you water, it's like sex.
It's the best fucking thing
It's the
you'll ever
best
have.
fucking thing you've ever had. Yeah. Yeah, and it's the same way for football. I keep telling Nate this.
Mm.
I'm like, "Listen, if and when I think when at this point the Lions do win a Super Bowl somewhere in the next 10, 20 years, whatever. It's gonna be the greatest thing you've ever experienced because
Uh-huh.
you've had to put up with all this shit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And honestly, you need to go. You are just never. You've been bad through the regular season. You need a couple heartbreakers in the playoffs,
Yeah,
even
playoffs,
first,
right.
and then get there.
Yep. Get shanked in the NFC
Uh,
title game or something, and
you know what?
now you're talking.
When the Lions win the Super Bowl, aside from the team that they beat, if every other football fan in the country isn't just
Happy for
rejoicing and
them.
like
Yeah.
equally happy, then you're just a miserable person. Like that's gonna be so awesome when the Lions freaking win a Super Bowl. Like, yeah, as long as they don't beat, as long as they don't beat the Eagles to get there, I'll be super super happy too.
Yeah. No, man. That's awesome. Great answer there. How about favorite non-football memory?
Oh boy, yeah, I was trying to think about this one. Oh man, I don't know. I feel like I've, like not a super eventful. life with these like core memories. But I more recently just I think my wedding was just we threw an awesome party. It was in like a barn, so it was like half indoor outdoor. We had to get married during COVID, but we had some leeway because it was like half outside, and just everyone that came, I was rocking out to my emo music. I made sure I put like a special chunk of like emo songs in there for DJ. I was like playing around like 8:30. People would be toasty a little bit, and like all my friends made fun of me. Like I ran because not everyone was on the dance floor like when it started. I knew what the first song was, so I quick run and I yell out, I'm like, guys, it's emo hour time. Come on, come party with me. And they're all like, what are you like? What's wrong with me? I was so happy and like. Obviously, marrying my wife too was awesome, but the reception was so fucking cool and fun. Like I'll always remember that. And we just had a freaking blast. I
Uh,
did I came in, so everyone does their introductions.
yeah.
um it was the one part of the wedding that my wife let me have control over. So all the groom and bride's parties came into different WWF songs. So we
Oh,
did like
nice.
DX, Shawn Michaels, Val Venus, all the funny ones. And then I came with my wife as Macho Man, and I had tassels. I quick had on my suit. I had the sunglasses. I had a cowboy hat. It was so awesome. So that's definitely my favorite non-football memory for sure.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's good shit. Love that. So we go from that high to this fun question. What's something hard you've overcome and what'd you learn from it?
So I talked about that job I worked for. So I started. It was my first job. I could walk there from my house as like 15-year-old. Worked for them for 18 years and then got let go.
Ah,
That was I had literally not known any other work. I had grown through multiple positions within the company over the years, but it had been sold a couple of times by then, struggling a little bit. So all the more tenured people with unfortunately higher salaries were some of
yeah.
the first ones to get chopped when it is in the hands of the corporate people. So yeah, that hit like a ton of bricks, and it was definitely kind of out of nowhere. So recovering from that and finding a new job, taking a fairly hefty pay cut
Oh,
was a pretty
yeah.
difficult time, but we weathered the rough waters. My wife's a freaking rock star. She's in an awesome sales job, making a pretty nice amount of commission every month. So she's the breadwinner, and I love it. I have no problem with that. I feel like I'm very not traditional in that way. Like some guys can't handle if their wife makes more money, and she's crushing it. So I've rebounded a little bit closer to what I used to make. So we weathered the storm. But yeah, that was probably the toughest moment in my entire life. Things were pretty smooth sailing
Yeah.
up until that point, and then yeah, that you feel like even though the people that originally started the company were still involved, but like not really. It's almost like a second family, and to just get cut from your family like that without any notice was sometimes pretty difficult thing. And given so many years of your life to help building a business from literally zero to a pretty damn money making company, and then you just get tossed aside, just shows you the realities of what the real world is.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. Yep, I hear you. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're back on your feet though. That's good shit.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I pulled the question about famous last words and replaced it with this because I like this question better. So this is a surprise question. Would
Okay.
would you rather get sacked by Aaron Donald once a week, every week for a year, or have to fight and remove 10 angry chickens from your car every time you go to use it for a year? Defend your
Oh
answer.
my God. Jesus. So wait, how frequently am I being sacked again?
52 times for a year. So every
Okay.
every, every week, once a week, but it's random. You don't know when it's coming.
Damn. I think I'm gonna go with that option just because I have to drive a lot. I don't want to deal with that every single time I need to step into my car. Now, both obviously are suck and are, pick your poison, but I think it would also be cool. Like, you know, hopefully Aaron's a nice enough guy that once he demolishes me, he extends the hand, helps me up, and gives me a pat on the butt and says, "See you next week." Maybe we have a beer or something like that instead of fucking nasty ass chickens I have to try to fight and kill off every time I want to drive somewhere. No thanks. I think it's easily taken the Donald. And I could post about it, but got sacked again. Maybe I'll go viral or something if somebody can record it. So I think it's easily the Aaron Donald option there. And if my last words were simply just going to be "Go Birds."
Oh, beautiful. Love that. Love that.
So that's an easy answer to both of those.
I love that. I've gotten some varied answers on that last one there. So Evan, the young king, Evan said
Yeah.
he'd rather fight the chickens because he's kind of tall and lanky, and he's like, I'd probably die if Aaron Donald sacked me. We got a little more meat on us. And then Sean 3686, one of our league mates in a million leagues, is from the South. He knows angry chickens, and he's like, fuck that shit. I'm not touching angry chickens. I'll take the sack as well. So he's with you. Yeah.
You take, that he's got the experience, right?
Yep.
So, I'm glad I'm siding with the guy that has the experience there. I mean, God, just the annoyance factor. Like, you drive way more than once a week, right? So,
every day.
It's just the annoyance factor there for me.
Yep. No, I'm with you. All right, let's get into hot water. So let's start with everyone's favorite argument, your favorite fantasy platform and why.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I've thought a lot about, and I could talk forever on this too. I'm going to say I'm a sleeper guy, and only because, so I'll go into the big argument is sleeper versus MFL, right? Well, first let's rank them from the bottom. NFL.com is atrocious. I got him only in one league now. I have no idea why he picked to use that platform, but
yeah,
God, is it atrocious. And they could, there's so many easy improvements that they could make to make it better. It's just, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Probably ESPN after that. Working our way up. CBS, they've been $150 for the past 20 years. And finally I realized, like, this is ridiculous to be paying $150 running your league through CBS. And you can get 99.9% of the same functionality, at least between some of the other sites, like a sleeper. Right. Yahoo's fine. I'm pretty indifferent about Yahoo. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's tough only for, we've tried it
for Dynasty. It's impossible. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not great for Dynasty. Right. Some of the draft room controls as commissioner even are pretty what's the word? Locked. Like, you still can't control as much as I would like to be able to. We've had a couple leagues where we've had, people trying to draft in person and online simultaneously, and it's really tough to do that through Yahoo, I feel like. And that's where what I love about Sleeper. It's really easy to do that. And MFL is so I'm a guy who kind of sits in the middle. I'm not passionately for Sleeper or passionately against MFL. I like them both individually. I wish they would kind of have a baby and then spit out the best of both of them. Sleeper, just the other day, I freaking dropped Jamar Chase because I was trying to pick up someone and it was lagging, and I'm like tapping because it's not doing anything, and then it drops Jamar Chase and picking up some scrub. I'm like, this is annoying. So, it's definitely not perfect. MFL I want to use. I've tried 3 times to create a league, and
forgot it.
I'm overwhelmed and can't get past the first couple of steps. So,
I just went through that the first time last week. Me and Nate are making that cat league, and holy shit, there's a whole other tab for the commissioner. I was like, oh, it's just one tab. That's not bad. Nope, you open it, and there's 40 different fucking things. each
Yeah.
thing goes like 40 different fucking ways, and
Uh,
they made everything so complicated. I was just like, holy shit,
it's,
this is
yeah,
insane.
you literally need a software development degree to be able to create a league. So
Yeah.
that's why I guess I'm like 60-40 sleeper guy, just for the ease of use. Like I said, I wish they would have baby. Like, what's so cool? Like sleeper, at least is always trying to improve. They're listening
Yeah.
to the players and the people who use it, and they're trying to improve. We went through this with MFL with the position designations, right? Like they take a hard stance. It is what it is. Deal with it, and you have to do ridiculous workarounds to get it. For IDP, right? The argument is like, so sleeper does DL, linebacker, DV versus you can go full true position in MFL. I hope sleeper offers both of those options because I really think it would be cool to keep the 3 system for like people that are newer to
Yeah.
IDP.
Right.
Get them to try it, hopefully fall in love with it, and want to get deeper down and then switch over or do a different league that is true position and
Right.
split up position by the 5 positions or whatever. So, if we can get IDP to keep growing, I think we could get that functionality out of sleeper. Probably just going to take a few years because not enough people are playing IDP still yet, but
Right.
we'll get there. That's our goal, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you. Yep. Solid answer there. Okay, all things being equal, so like your standard superflex IDP league, we'll say all the positions. What's your typical approach? Are you when it comes to the IDP side of things? Are you a linebacker first guy, defensive line first guy? Like, how do you usually go about that?
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely a value based guy, so
Yeah,
I try not to be the first, especially like rule of thumb, like try not to be the first guy to be taken in IDP. I'll usually wait on the runs or start one much later on, and just soak up value there. And it all depends on settings, right? If set for me, so everyone, a quick tangent here on scoring, right? Everyone complains about the problem with IDP is lack of like standardized scoring and whatnot. I don't get that because there's a billion different ways to score offense. Offense had standard, half PPR, full PPR, and still does for decades, and nobody bitches about offense not having standardized scoring.
yeah,
And there's all sorts of little caveats that can come into play. Like
sure,
for me, IDP, it just really comes down to sacks and what they're worth. If you
right,
decide to make sacks kind of like the touchdown of defense, everything else is everybody's gonna still stay in the same ranges of outcomes
right,
as far as points go. So like to me, like that whole argument just doesn't hold water. And I don't get it why people criticize IDP using that argument because it's really just one metric and it's sacks. So
yeah,
for me, if sacks are worth at least 6 points or more, I'll go heavier on DL and try to
right,
get those elite guys. And I will maybe reach for defensive linemen earlier than I would or try to get those elite guys. Maybe I will be the first person to take an IDP and it's going to be a lineman because you'll never find me with the top linebackers on my rosters. I
same,
don't
yep,
have Darius Leonard. I don't have Roquan.
right.
I have one or two Micah just because of rookie drafts in Dynasty. But if I was doing a startup or a redraft, you're not going to catch him on my roster.
Yep. Same.
So,
I'm with you, man. It's they're
yeah,
replaceable. I'd rather spend that
exactly.
capital elsewhere. Yeah. Yep. I'm
But
with you.
load up on offense. If it's super flex, obviously. I also, I for a super flex tangent. I don't people overvalue quarterbacks even if it's super flex. Like, there's, are you really happy like rolling out Daniel Jones every week in your super flex spot just because he's a quarterback? Like, I just don't buy into like. I don't know. I try to pick the right ones, and I guess that has a lot to do with it. But man, people just go way overvalue quarterbacks in
Well,
Superflex. So
depends
I
on
hate that.
it depends on scoring too. Like
Yeah.
my home league super flex, you get half a point per completion, and I don't bang you that much for picks and sacks. So
Okay.
yeah, you need 2 quarterbacks. But in most
Yeah.
leagues, you could throw in a fucking flex guy and be
Yeah.
almost there. You could be
Right.
almost where you need to be, and it's
Exactly.
not even a quarterback. you know?
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, normally I'll try to stock up on offense, just because I'm fairly confident in my IDP knowledge. But you know, if you're a newer person and you want to have those studs because it's more fun and you'll know the names, then there's nothing against that, and you can win that way too. You know, you just gotta hope those top guys stay at the top, which we know that doesn't frequently happen, but you know, it might.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And I think if most people have made the leap and have gotten into IDP, scoring doesn't fucking matter. If you're that
Mhm.
far down the rabbit hole, you can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It,
Like
it,
you can adjust. It's really just look at your settings. Oh, sacks
mhm.
are worth more, tackles are worth more. Adjust as needed. Like
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, it really bugs me when I see that stuff, like people just blindly commenting like, "Oh, I can't IDP, I can't get into it because I don't. There's no standard scoring. Like, there's no standard scoring for offense either. Like, shut
Right,
up."
right, right. And sure, there's half point, full point, whatever. And guess
Yeah,
what? None of my leagues choose 1 point PPR, set it and forget it. Fuck no, are you kidding
yeah,
me? There are bonuses, there are
uh
first
huh,
downs, there are rushing attempts, there's
hmm,
lost yards for quarterback sacks and pick sixes and 40-yard touchdowns and
exactly.
there's all that shit. Every single fucking league is different unless you're playing missionary, vanilla, boring ass shit. And if you were, you
Hmm.
wouldn't be listening to this in the first place because you're not a degenerate, and this is for
Yeah.
degenerates.
Oh, I think you'll appreciate this conversation and this comment. Very not safe for work, but I I liken analogize my fantasy to porn. So at a certain point, right, you lesbians just don't do it for you. You
Nope.
got to get into the weird shit, and
Yep.
I'm getting to that point. Like, the weirder, the better for me. Give me two tight ends. Give me
Yeah.
tiered PPR scoring. Give me more IDPs than offensive starters. Give me 32 team leagues. Like, I need weirder and weirder shit to get my fantasy rocks off these days. Like, I
That dude.
can't do
Yes. I'm
vanilla leagues anymore.
I know. I'm with you. I was saying that in the IDP show chat the other day. It was like standard fantasy is just boring as shit. I can't take any of these
Uh,
fucking analysts or popular people seriously when you're just playing vanilla fantasy and you're trying to give me advice on that. We left you in the dust fucking 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
IDP is the butt stuff of
Yeah,
fantasy,
exactly.
and
Yes.
that's not enough for me. I need butt stuff with like midgets or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Uh,
you took that invite I sent to you for that no bench, no IR, full super
yeah.
flex, streaming corner shenanigans like pain show.
Chaos.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like
Yeah.
that's great. Give me more of that. Yeah.
Drip that wax all over me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
the chaos.
No.
It's more like my friends, like, and we know, right? Like, most fantasy players are casual. So, like,
Right.
I'm
Right.
like the fantasy guy. So everyone comes, "Hey, you want to join my league?" And I sound like such a douche probably because I'm like, what are the settings? Because if it's not super flex, if there's not some like weird wrinkle, I'm out. I'm sorry, I
Yep.
just can't do them anymore. And especially if it's for money, like, I'm gonna lose because I'm gonna be focusing on the leads I like more, and like, I just can't. I hate it because I sound like a total asshole, but I'm like, I'm sorry, I just can't join any more of these.
No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Yep. So speaking of fantasy Twitter, let's talk about fantasy Twitter. So how what's your thoughts? You've been on there for a minute now. What do you think of
Yeah,
the community?
yeah, I was looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
There's good and bad, right? It's a bit of a Jekyll Hyde relationship. People, I just don't get how and why some of these people take themselves so damn seriously.
Yep.
It is insane. The ego checks that need to happen on fantasy Twitter are out of this world. I shake my head when I see some of this stuff and the hubris behind some of these people. Like, I just I just don't get it. Like, man, I don't take myself seriously at all. I'm on here to have fun. Like,
Yeah.
yes, if I'm presenting a take, obviously want to be confident about it. Um, often if I'm like arguing with someone, I'm gonna come off condescending and a dick, but like I'm treating the interaction as if we're in a bar taking shots, drinking beers, and fucking screaming about fantasy football. That's how I treat Twitter. Like, and it's fucking fun. I have a great time doing that with friends. So like I treat these people like I'm trying to treat them as if you're my friend, like, and we're shooting the shit. But then people take this stuff so goddamn
Oh yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
It's insane. They get butthurt and then you get blocked and muted. And I'm like, damn, like, I'm just trying to joke around and like have fun. I know tone is tough to take when things are written out, but
Right. Right.
that's
Yep.
why I love emojis. I try to insert emojis as much as possible. I think it actually, as like weird as that sounds, I think emojis are so important to the way we're communicating now with texting and Twitter and stuff like that. Like, and you need to be using them to try to convey your message. I think they help with trying to figure out that tone. But I've also learned a ton through fantasy Twitter.
Yeah.
Like that's the good side of it. There are some damn smart people out there, and I'm envious and jealous of quite a few of them. Just how their brains work and process the information and present the information. I'm like, damn, I wish my brain worked like that to be able to do something like that. Because like I said, I am like kind of a stats nerd, but just digging in like some of these people do and diving into the stats and then being able to create a visual presentation or even explanation through words of that stuff. People hate on threads. Some of them are really good and useful.
Yeah.
Some of them are very clickbaity and trying to do nothing but gain followers. Um, but some of the stuff out there, if you dig and I always hear about you curating your timeline. If you could curate your timeline, it's a really great place to be. I just have, maybe I have an ego too that needs controlling, but I just love slinging the mud from time to time. I can't help myself, but I'm doing it from a place of like fun. Like it's fun to me to mess with people that take themselves so seriously like that sometimes. So that's where I'm coming from on Twitter 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, yep, got same answer every time. There's good, there's bad. You
Yeah,
control your own outcome. That's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good stuff, man. All right, what are you working on this season? You got anything coming up before we start the season? What's all that look like?
I mean, obviously rankings are big for us. We're trying to just get all that stuff sorted out. Getting our weekly content schedule set up, and just trying to pump out good content that will help people win leagues. I mean, that's ultimately why I'm also doing this. Not only do I like, writing and doing rankings, it's all because I want to help other people. I love being. I've got multiple text messages sitting here right now from like buddies and stuff being like, "What do you think about this and that?" And I just fucking love that. Like
Yep.
my favorite part about our company here that with Nate is our Discord. Like the
Yeah.
people that care enough to not only buy a subscription and then join the Discord, like, and then asking their questions, like helping them construct their teams and stuff. Like I like that almost more than playing at this point. Like I just love talking shop
Yeah.
with these people, with these strangers I'll never meet, but like helping them, possibly win their leagues and their teams is so satisfying to me. Like I just love it. So just trying to get the site ready for pumping out that stuff to help people win their leagues is basically what we got going on.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yep, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like
Yeah.
them coming into it was Slack last year, but Discord this year with the titles after the last week, the fantasy
Uh-huh.
playoffs, and I did it. I won.
Yeah.
You guys helped, and thank you, and that's the good shit right there. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
nothing like it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome, man. Okay, anything you want to plug? The floor is yours.
Yeah, just throw me a follow on Twitter at Dynasty Santa. That's where I live. I try to interact. If anybody DMs stay open, so if anybody wants to ask questions or anything like that, and then just the awesome site here, idpguides.org. We're trying to pump out some great content on both sides of the ball. I told Nate earlier in the year, I'm gonna do some management with the Twitter account, and I changed our headline to say, "We've got offense too." We're trying to be a complete site, to help everyone on both sides of the ball. Obviously, IDP is the bread and butter, but we've got some great offensive mind people as well on staff. So just come check out the team, come check out our content, and hopefully you like it. Hit me up if you have constructive criticism. I love to take that and learn from people's observations and things like that. So yeah, my door is always open.
Awesome. Love that, man. Okay, we'll get you out of here on this, the most important question of the entire interview. Do you think it's possible that most road rage is poop related?
Oh man, I've been waiting to answer this one. So I'm gonna go against the grain here. I feel like most of the answers I've heard have said yes to this.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I guess most people drive a lot, but like I'm one of those crazy people inside your car, right? Like I think it was Louis C.K. or Bill Burr that talks about, like, when you're inside the car, you'll say, like, when you've got that road rage, like there's things you'll say inside the confines of your car that you're just a totally different person, and that's me. So I think most road rage is due to very dumb people. Now I think poop can be a catalyst to that, and maybe they're making horrible driving decisions because of something poop related. But in general, most people are just dumb on the road and stink at driving. And that creates road rage for people like me, because I just don't understand how some people could be so damn stupid and do some of the things they do inside this 2,000-pound machine, killing machine potentially, and you just have, how does your brain not function to do some of these things that you do? So yeah, not all of it. Like I said, I think it's more of a catalyst, and I think the more of it is related to just stupid people doing stupid things, and they shouldn't be allowed to drive.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I could see that. I could see it being a cause, and that, not the underlying cause, so to speak. And I love what you said there about Louis C.K. That's true.
Yeah.
There are things I've said in my car, like that
Like,
would
I
get
would never actually say that to a real person.
fired, canceled, thrown in jail. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Big time. Big time.
Uh, Well, Steve, thank you, man. This has been
Yeah.
excellent. It has been great getting to know you a little bit.
Yeah.
Besides just talking on the interwebs and stuff. Always
Likewise.
love talking to Philly guys. Thank you for coming on,
Yeah.
man. I appreciate it.
I hope I repped well for everyone, and yeah, it was an honor to be chosen for this, man. So appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again to Steve. You can get him at Twitter, on Twitter at Dynasty Santa. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode. Same time, same place. Have a good night. Take care. Bye bye.